O Show. This is the Big 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 O Show.
There's just one place to get our lowest payment on a new Acura Integra. $229 a month. It's the season of performance event at Acura of Pembroke Pines, #1 in the USA.
When presenting an award to an employee, athlete, executive, or fantasy GM, make sure you call Orvietto's Awards and More. For 35 years, these custom award specialists have been providing plaques, trophies, custom framing, while providing state-of-the-art laser and computerized engraving, UV printing, and glass crystal etching. They do all their engraving and printing in-house for quality control. Call Charles at 305-949-8098 or visit them at orviettosawards.com. Orvietto's Awards and More, where recognition is rewarding.
When it comes to your smile, confidence is so important. At Moody Dental, they provide the services to get your smile back. This family-run practice prides itself by offering the latest technology to give your family the best experience possible. Moody Dental has been in business for over 30 years with offices in Hialeah and Plantation. They accept most major dental insurances. They provide free new patient exams, 20% off select treatments. To qualify, please follow us on Instagram at moodys.dental. Moody Dental has been in business for over 30 years. To schedule an appointment in Hialeah, call 305-821-0231 and Plantation 954-692-6825. From Invisaligns, dental implants, same-day crowns, and the preventative care and preservation to get your smile back. Go to moodysdental.com to find out more and tell them Big O sent you.
After 40 years, the Big Cheese Miami is still producing great Italian food. They started in 1984. Since then, they've been winning awards while being voted the best inexpensive Italian restaurant in Miami. Visit them for great food, amazing service. Witness the decades of Cane's memories. The walls are like a Miami Hurricanes Hall of Fame. The Big Cheese delivers anything on its menu or party platter menu to your home, office, or even a park for a picnic. Located at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue, Miami. Call 305-662-6855. TheBigCheeseMiami.com, where they serve large portions at family prices.
It's game day at Toyota of Hollywood. Our all-stars are here to give you our MVP experience. Join the fun and feast on discounts up to $4,500. Huddle up and score big on a 25 Corolla. Not $26,000, $17,988. It's a tailgate party you don't want to miss. So gobble up the savings at the #1 volume Toyota dealer. Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Oh, Sam, not again.
Initiating Daddy's back.
Go!
Set the rhythm of your smart home with Sloman Shield Blink, the new integrated smart home platform that automates your life just the way you want it. Sloman Shield Blink. Be the maestro of your own home.
It starts every morning before the sun comes up. Projects are laid out. Plans are made. Equipment is fueled and loaded with inventory to handle all service requests. Orders are given to an army of skilled landscape maintenance professionals, certified arbor trimmers, irrigation technicians, and licensed pest management experts who fan out to communities and businesses all over South Florida. Experienced, on time, and dependable. Our staff is fully trained, licensed, and insured. Contact us by phone, email, social media, or through our website to answer all your landscape questions. We are Cutter's Edge, Total Landscape Solutions.
Price, service, selection. Get all this and more at South Florida's #1 loved Subaru store. Subaru of Pembroke Pines. Save today with our 3 ways to save. 0% financing, 0 down payment, or make no payments for 90 days. From Subaru of Pembroke Pines.
If you're looking to take your home or business to the next level, then RM Contractors can assist you. RM specializes in new residential turnkey, new commercial turnkey, home and office remodeling. Call them for free estimates. Serving all of South Florida, licensed and insured. Call Ray, 305-345-3649. You work hard to create the perfect atmosphere. You dream it, we'll build it. RM Contractors, 305-345-3649 or Instagram at RMC Fisher Island.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is...
Hi, this is Jeff Welt from Welton Rail. Dan and I have been in business together for over 22 years. We're not your typical lawyers. When Dan's not working in the office, he's flying his stunt plane. When I'm not in the office, I'm either getting tattooed, bowling, riding a motorcycle, or going to concerts. We might not be your typical attorneys, but we are aggressive attorneys, and we'll do whatever it takes to get you what you deserve. Consultations are always free. Call us anytime, 24/7.
Welton Rail can help.
There's just one place to get our lowest payment on a new Acura ADX. $239 a month. It's the season of performance event at Acura of Pembroke Pines, #1 in the USA.
Welcome to Kaneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Kaneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at Kaneswear.com. Kaneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome aboard. It is a beautiful Thursday, January 15th, 2026. We're coming to you live, of course, from Kaneswear here in Davie. Come on by and say hi. We'll be out here for a couple of hours. Manny Navaro will be joining us, so we'll preview a little bit of some game that's going on, I think, on Monday. It's national championship, I think, or something like that. We got your gear here at Kaneswear, of course, and you know the code you've got to use. So come on out here, join us. You can also go online, check out all the national championship gear. We're gonna have Jeff and Sean are gonna help me out here and get some national championship gear so we can show you some of it, and you can order it. The place is overflowing right now with. There's boxes everywhere. They're just, they're working overtime right now here at Kaneswear. I can see them loading up, and those starter jackets are one of the hottest items out there. And I see already a few people in here purchasing some of those starter jackets. So we'll be out here. Remember, always use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off. So take advantage of that. Anyway, we'll have some fun. Plenty of things to talk about. For those of you that were talking Dolphins and Harbaugh, you feeling silly now, finally? Is it over for you now? Is it over for you, Oscar? You know, since you thought I was going to be wrong or something. I mean, this is, if you haven't learned the lesson in 16 years of ownership for Stephen Ross, Stephen Ross's reputation at this point in the league is dog crap. So he's not going to be able to recruit a guy like John Harbaugh at this point. See, Wayne Huizenga, to his credit, he was able to lure in Parcells and Saban and Jimmy. It didn't work. I get it. But he also had the skills of being able to go talk it now. Huizenga also was fresh off of the Shula run. So there wasn't enough stank on it yet, even though the back end of the Shula run wasn't as successful, as we all know. And then you pile on what happened with Huizenga, which was failure after failure after failure. And now you have Ross for 16 years of failure. At this point, you can't expect him to be able to ever recruit elite. And the silliest thing that a lot of you thought out there was, well, he'll pay him anything. Everybody's going to pay him the same money. It's all about power and control at this point for people at that level. And it's also about what teams are actually the sexy destinations. And unfortunately, because of what Stephen Ross has done for 16 years of damage, the team is no longer a sexy destination. I'm old enough, dude. I lived the Super Bowls of the 70s. So it's different for me. I lived the Super Bowls of the 80s. The Dolphins were looked at as a completely different franchise in those days. You know, the Heat is going through the days of the Dolphins. As I've told you, from 04 to 14, that's the 70s for the Dolphins. Now from 15 to 25, it's become the 80s of the Dolphins, where you got to a couple of NBA finals, but you weren't really good enough and you didn't win them. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens in the next 10 years for the Heat if it becomes more like the 90s for the Dolphins, because that's kind of what they've morphed into. You know what I mean? And that's what the Dolphins were. For those of you that are young, it's the early days of the Heat. And then you were looked at. Like right now, the shine is coming off of the Miami Heat. Why? Because as a generation starts to wear off on you, people start to forget what you were. And that's where the Dolphins are now. What I remember the Dolphins to be, what I grew up with the Dolphins, when I used to, read the Miami News and the Miami Herald, those days are dead. They're gone. And somebody's got to rebuild that reputation. And it's up to Stephen Ross, and he has failed for 16 years. So that's why when the John Harbaugh, or if Mike Tomlin decided to play, this is why I was laughing the entire time at any Dolphin fan that thought you even had a chance to lure people like that. You weren't even going to be on his short list. Why? Because this is what's happened to the Dolphin reputation. It's been completely destroyed. Everything that Shula built has been completely destroyed. That's the brutal honesty of what's gone on. And that's why you're not going to get a candidate that Miami desperately needs. Because right now you need somebody to completely restore the reputation, the culture of the Miami Dolphins. We're watching the Miami Heat lose their culture and their reputation as time goes on, because everybody has their time in the sun. And then, unfortunately, there's an expiration date. You'd love to keep it going forever, but you just don't. And you're going to have to go through some transition. Well, Miami's been in that transition period for decades now. Nobody's been able to transition from the Shula era at all. And it's just been little chapters of failure, unfortunately. And this is why you're where you're at. And so when an elite coach becomes available, an elite general manager becomes available, the Miami Dolphins are not going to be able to get that done because they've got to rebuild. You know what Mario Cristobal is doing right now? Rebuilding everything that was destroyed for a couple of decades by the Miami Hurricanes. Because the last 2 decades, all the failure chapters, everybody forgot about it. We got a bunch of young people walking around that have no idea what the 80s and the early 90s were for the Canes. They have no idea because it's a couple generations removed. So people forget and they don't know. And now at this point, it's just like, oh, yeah, no, this was 20 years ago. That's why Monday is the biggest game in over 20 years. Because Mario is doing what the Dolphins desperately need. Rebuild everything from top to bottom, reputation, culture, with foundation. Without any of that, you will not win. And that's the problem with the Dolphins. Their reputation, their culture, their foundation is completely destroyed. And without that, you don't win. The Canes, They didn't have an administration that would spend money. That's part of your foundation, man. So if you don't win, then there goes your reputation. And if you don't find somebody that can set the culture, you're dead in the water. Now you've got the guy that can set the culture, can recruit the players, can get people to come, and then you've got the administration that finally said, here we go, we're going to open up the wallets, and we're going to improve the facilities, and we're going to have one of the best NIL packages, and we're going to pay for our coaches. Because we used to live down here by, hey, man, oh, we got Jimmy John. We saw they killed Jimmy Johnson when he got here. Who the hell is this guy at Oklahoma? This guy just got trashed all the time by Nebraska and Oklahoma. That was the talk. And then he loses to Maryland, and all hell breaks loose. And people are like, they thought it was the wrong guy, because that's how Miami had to live. They had to get the under-the-radar guy because they don't have the money. And then that ran out because college football all of a sudden became about money, big money. And for a long time now, Miami wasn't paying their coaches. So you were settling for the Randy Shannons of the world and the Larry Cokers of the world. You were settling for the under-the-radar guy and hoping to find a diamond in the rough. And that doesn't happen anymore in college football. And the administration woke up. It's all about foundation. It's all about reputation. It's all about getting it right. And that's the reason why you watch John Harbaugh go to the Giants and not come to the Miami Dolphins. And if you're not willing to look in the mirror, I can't help you, man. You know, and if you're going to sit there and think that your reputation is something special, that Dolphin logo, especially that dead whale that they've got going on now, that means nothing. It means nothing to Harbaugh. It means nothing to Tomlin. Elite people like that are not going to come work for Stephen Ross, a guy that's gone behind. How many owners in the NFL cost their teams a first and a third by cheating and trying to hire a coach? How many out of the 32? Just one, right? I think. Okay. How about out of the 32, how many got busted in the middle of the night going after a Harbaugh when Sperano was in place? How many have done that in the NFL? Just one idiot. You know? That's why Dumbo has big ears. So, there we go. And it's not that I'm being cruel or mean or whatever to you guys from the get-go that I was laughing at you about Harbaugh, but here we are. So, foundation, reputation, and culture are garbage. You've got to fix it before you fix anything. And the Hurricanes are a perfect example. The Florida Panthers are a perfect example. Before Vinny Viola and obviously Zito, did they have culture? No? Did they have a foundation? Did they have they had a bad reputation. Yeah, they had a bad reputation. You know, you want to build it, you got to start from the bottom up. You got to tear it down and you got to build it all the way. And the Canes have done that, and that's why they're now having success. The Panthers have done that. That's why they're having success. There's really and there's it's not like it's a secret. There's no secret sauce here or anything like that. It's not like some blueprint that nobody knows. Everybody knows the blueprint to win. You got to have ownership. You got to have leadership. Look at Kaneswear, man. It grew from a hole in a warehouse. And that's kind of, part of ownership, leadership, vision, all those kind of things. That's what it's all about. And that's the reason why the Dolphins are where they're at. And it's a perfect segue to why we're at Kaneswear and why the Canes are now having success. Because they finally found the right combination of everything that they needed in order to have success. Don't forget, folks, to smash the hell out of the like button. Very important. And you can hit the notification bell. That way you know when we go on live, because on average, we go on live every day on YouTube at 10 a.m. But sometimes we're on the road, like today at 11. Yesterday was noon when we were at Toyota of Hollywood. When we're at Hialeah Casino, we're on at 2 in the afternoon. So the notification bell is very important. It tells you. And then if there's any breaking news and we go on to the platform, you get to find out. So make sure you hit the notification bell. That'll help out. And of course, you can always make a donation to the show, Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show, Cash App or Venmo. And you can send in your questions, comments, insults, all kinds of good stuff. Always appreciate whatever it is that you send in. Bitcoin's at 96,377 right now. So it's messing around with 96.97 right now. And the Dow is up 370 points. The S&P is up 42, and the NASDAQ is almost up a whole point. All right. Manny Navaro will join us, so we'll preview a little of the Canes and Indiana, and we'll talk any NIL and recruiting issues, obviously, because quarterbacks are signing all over the place. I'm not as concerned. So I think they'll end up finding a guy and they'll be fine. As long as they get a guy that can be smart and facilitate, I think they'll be all right. That's kind of the way they used to get by. You don't have to have necessarily the guy that has to carry, the whole offense. I don't like that anyways. I like for a quarterback to be able to hand it off to like 3 different running backs. It's kind of fun, have a couple of big-time dynamic receivers, a tight end, which, that's the one element I kind of missed from the offense this year for the Canes. I'd like to see the tight end, get back involved a little bit more than it has this past year. This year's, that was a void, and that's such a huge tool for all quarterbacks at any level. It's a higher percentage pass than it is to a wide receiver. It's a bigger target, so it's an easier target for you. There's just so many pros to throwing to the tight end, and I would really love to see that come back. I know they tried, and the poor kid took a hell of a shot. I don't even know. We'll ask Manny if the Vegas kid is going to be ready for the game. They do get 11 days of rest. All right. So, by the way, we got some stuff. Oh, okay. All right. Well, right now you got to come in store because everything is not online. Like, I don't know how many boxes are in the aisles. Like, yeah, there's like 200 boxes in the aisles. They're stacked up like 8 feet tall, and they've got a whole bunch of items. So you may have to come here, and all of it may not be online. Okay, and remember a code Big O10. Okay, I gotta say it low because there's people in the store, and they may not be, fans of the show and followers of the show and supporters of the show. You guys get the Big O10. I don't want to give the Big O10 to them people. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so this is a championship jacket, and it's got the 5 years on the sleeves, as you can see. So again, it may not be online. So for those of you out of state, I'm sorry about that. Hang that there. Oh, dude, I saw that over here. I saw that. I like this shirt a lot. This one's cool. I think I may get this. This is really, really nice. Huh? Really, really nice. National championship, the logo. Whew. This is sweet. I think I'm going to get this one for myself, actually. Not this one because it's double XL. I used to be that. Oh, I like it. Nice. There we go. Another Hurricane tee. Got to come in personal so you can get your T-shirts, man. Okay. Check it out. Check it out. Funk Soul Brother, check it out now. Funk Soul Brother, check it out now. Funk Soul Brother. Remember that? Big O10. Anyway. And they got so much more. Later I'll take a zip around with the camera as much as I can. Yeah, I know. Oh, they're already line outside? Oh yeah. Oh, the checkout line is already low. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's this place is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. So, chase yourself on down here. Okay. Ty in the Bronx, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says these blind ass fans just don't get it. Oh, I know. I get it, man. But it's, and we try to explain it to them, but you know, I'm the bad guy, you know. Say hello to the bad guy. Ty in the Bronx, Big O, the Hurricanes will win 3 national championships before the Dolphins win a playoff game. Shaking my head. So sad. I mean, listen, we got to feel great about the Canes right now because everything is in place to continue to be a perennial playoff team and be in the national championship picture. You know, and on Monday, like I told you, Monday is for me like 1983 all over again. It's breaking through that glass ceiling, reestablishing yourself, all of those kind of things. All of those things. All of those things. Neil Rogers will affect me forever. All of these things. So just it's really cool, man. It's really, really cool. Really, really cool. I'm so happy. And listen, it's been a rough like 40 years for Dolphin fans, but it's been a rough 20 years for Hurricanes fans. So those of us that are like myself, like we're like all Miami, I'm a Hurricane and a Dolphins fan, man, football's been really, really rough on us the last 20 years. So the fact that one of our two teams has kind of gotten out of the funk, wow, it's beautiful. It helps a lot. It helps a lot. My vent Sherpa, Frankie Fresco. Won't you dirty the shirt in the vents? No, I won't. Well, what we'll do, Frankie, is I'm going to take multiple shirts. So what I'll do is I'll take a big O show shirt on the outside, dirty the hell out of that.
What we do is
there a Frankie Fresco shirt?
We grab the donated Florida Gators shirts to climb through the vents, dirty them, and then put on real stuff afterwards.
I like that. No, we have the real stuff.
Gators belong in the sewer. That's
okay.
What we'll put
I
on.
like that. I like that. I like that, Frankie. That's what we'll do, Frankie. We'll put on Gator shirts when we crawl through the vents to get into Hard Rock Stadium. And then once I get out of the vent, I take off the Gator shirt and voila, I got my beautiful Kane shirt from Kaneswear. Like a superhero. Exactly. I'm going to run right into a bathroom and then come right out as the UM fan. There you go. Yeah. Who needs a stinking phone booth? We don't need no stinking phone booths. And thank you, Frankie, for the super chat. Let's see what else. NorCal says 49ers lost Kittle and instantly went to the fullback and thrived. Why don't we use Ingle more? Well, yeah, we could use Ingle, but just don't use him 20 yards downfield. Dude is a great blocker and has good hands. Get him more involved, for crying out loud. Well, listen, that's Jeff Spicoli on the sidelines. I can't speak for Jeff Spicoli. But now they fired Jeff Spicoli. So now that Spicoli's been fired from the Dolphins, I swear I want to be a fly on the wall in those Mike McDaniel interviews. I don't know how many people fell asleep in those interviews. Did you see Trump fall asleep? Best part is he used to call him Sleepy Joe. He's the one that falls asleep. Yeah. He falls asleep more than Joe does.
lately.
Those two girls, the two little girls, were like, "He's asleep, mommy."
Should we tap him?
And then he farted. Oh,
Dolphin Dave, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
You got Verizon?
Yeah, definitely.
He jumped on and said no sound like halfway through the
Oh,
chat.
he must have Verizon. Yeah. Verizon fixed their phones after 12 hours. They can hear you now. They can hear you now. They can hear you now, Verizon. Oh, my God. That was awesome. Morning. Has McCarthy been added to the candidates list? No, Ocala Joe, he has not. He has not. Maybe John Eric Sullivan doesn't want Mike McCarthy. Maybe he doesn't like him. I don't know. But he hasn't added him. I mean, there is a list of 672 people on the head coaching list for the Dolphins. You know, the real question is the candidates list longer or the people that are in the room interviewing? Because I heard there's so many people in the room interviewing for the Miami Dolphins, they're now using the stadium. Okay, they're all around section 100, section 200. It's all loaded. And the candidates for the Dolphins come in and sit on the 50-yard line, and they just answer on a mic, and it's just boomed out because there's thousands of people in the room interviewing. Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. So it's going to be a hell of a list. In fact, it's a longer list than the conga line that Gloria Stefan came up with back in the 80s. Yep. It's crazy. Anyway, let's see. Frankie Fresco says, I have a better idea. How about you wear an Indiana shirt underneath? That way, when the game is over, you can look like winners. Frankie's still a bitter Gators fan.
What happened to the Let's Go Canes there, Frankie?
Yeah. Frankie last week.
It didn't work last week, right?
Yeah, it didn't work. The mojo didn't work. Well, he's a Gators fan. I mean, all he has is stank on him.
He's a Gators. He's a Louisville. He's worn California. He's worn every team that versus the Canes. He gets on the bandwagon, and unfortunately, usually, it ends up rocking him out of there.
Frankie, you've got no combination to bring down the Canes, my brother, because you've got Gator funk on you. See, think about it, Frankie. You're a Gators and a Dolphins fan. So you're just in a life of misery, my brother. That's kind of what it is. I mean, think about it. And you had to go to Tulane to get your coach. So, yeah, after getting blown out. Exactly. Jesus. Yeah. Not much there with that green wave. Ron says, how the Dolphins have fallen. I remember the days when the Dolphins franchise was the winningest in sports, not just football. We used to, our team used to have the best winning percentage in all of pro sports. I mean, really, it's fallen like badly. That's why it's kind of funny that any Dolphin fan would think you got to stop thinking that your team is anywhere elite. The team's a joke. So until Stephen Ross turns the corner, that's the way they're going to be treated. We've got to hope that John Eric Sullivan is a diamond in the rough and that you found them and you got lucky. That's really what you got to hope for, unfortunately, because there is no skill when it comes to it. By the way, so they put out a lot of old news yesterday, made it new news. So Stephen Ross is being interviewed, and all of a sudden this goes viral, and that he announces that, yes, his son-in-law is going to take over. Meanwhile, I think we've been talking about that for months here on the show, that the son-in-law and that the family's keeping it and that they're going to run it. And the daughter and definitely the son-in-law now, I mean, do you think they're putting the son-in-law in all these interviews for fun? Like, hey, you you know what? You did a great job in fantasy football. We're now going to put you in the room to interview. No, of course not. Like the only news that I really thought out of that interview was that they offered him $15 billion, and he turned it down, which everybody talks about their NFL revenue, but they leave out the F1 and everything else. And that's why they had to offer him $15 billion, because of everything else that's on that property. There's a hospital, there's a tennis tournament. They actually have a tenant that is actually playing real football on Saturdays. They play Mickey Mouse football on Sundays, but on Saturdays, the real football is being played.
And they get a new tenant for next year, or 27 for 1 year.
Who's that?
FIU.
FIU's going to play there?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Yep. They're redoing their stadium, I think they said, or something.
But that'll be a loss. No, well, actually, they're paying rent. So, yeah.
Parking.
Yeah. I think they should play the FIU games in the tennis stadium. Expand the tennis stadium just a little bit and put the FIU games there. Why would you even waste your time on Hard Rocks Field? You know what? In the practice facility, that's where they should play the FIU games. The practice facility. That the practice facility has more than enough seats for FIU fans. Okay? And that'll keep Frankie from, squeezing through the air vents. So, I think there's a lot of pluses to all of it. All right, let's get to it. Manny Navaro is ready to go. Let's preview our matchup with Indiana and the Miami Hurricanes with the one and only Manny Navaro and our Big Cheese NIL and recruiting report.
We step into the world of big dreams, big moves, and big money. It's the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navaro. After 40 years, the Big Cheese remains dedicated to serving the finest Italian dinners, pizza, pasta, subs, and salads. All of their pasta is imported from Italy and cooked fresh every day. Visit BigCheeseMiami.com. Now, let's find out who's the Big Cheese the Miami Hurricanes are working on with insider Manny Navaro.
All right, my man. How are you doing? How you feeling?
Doing great. How are you?
Excellent. We were just talking about it because from the second it happened, I laughed at every single Dolphin, any media member that brought it up. I don't care who you are. When you said, the Dolphins should go after Harbaugh immediately, I laughed at your ass. I said, hey, stop it. They have no chance. They'll never get him, okay? And the reason I mentioned was, and this is where I spin it to what you're covering now, and by the way, this goes on for other franchises in town. Their reputation, their foundation, and their culture has been completely destroyed. The Dolphins have none of it. And that's the reason why they're where they're at and why the elite will never consider to work there. Because then the silly argument from some Dolphins was, well, Stephen Ross can pay anything. And it's like, yo, dude, this is the NFL. Everybody else, if it's not Mike Brown in Cincinnati, everyone else has the same money. Everyone else will pay him the same thing. That has nothing. It all is about power and control. And so until the Dolphins fix their culture and their reputation, their foundation, and all that stuff, they're not going to be attracted to the elite. Yep. And guess who also didn't have a culture, a foundation, a reputation anymore? And the elite wasn't going to consider you because you weren't that. And that was the University of Miami. And until the administration started to spend, until they committed to improving the facilities, until they committed to paying their coaches, and then you got the right guy that knew how to recruit and put everything together, you weren't going to get it back. And with Mario, you've got all of that back. It reminds you of what's going on with the Panthers. For decades, they didn't have a reputation. They didn't have a culture. They didn't have a foundation. And then in comes Vinny Viola, and then you get Zito, and all of a sudden, all of those things, become, loud and clear. And
Yeah.
Monday night is loud and clear because foundationally you have done everything the right way.
Yeah, this all goes back to the new school president at Miami, Joe Echeverria, Rudy Fernandez, all the people at the school who were called out by Kirk Herbstreit and Barry Jackson, all the people who wrote about us, right? The people who talked about what was wrong at Miami. There was no
But they didn't listen to us for the last
foundation.
10 years. We were
Right.
saying that before Herbstreit, damn it.
No, that's what I meant. Like Herbstreit,
No credit for
when
this.
he said it, and it was a national embarrassment. That's when it resonated, right? That's when those guys finally listened. But it goes to those guys because they said football has to be one of the three most important pillars at the University of Miami. And I know some academic people might be vomiting in their mouth, but that's a reality. That's what Miami was known for. That's what put Miami on the map. The University of Miami on the map was football, and it took change in leadership. It took change in approach at the top to say, hey, we're going to prioritize it. We're going to spend money on it. And we're going to include people that care and bring in people that care in a different way. And so that commitment was made. And that's why Miami is where it is, because it started at the top and it trickled on down and everybody is in alignment now.
Yeah, and to me, that's what this is all about on Monday night, which is a really cool thing. When we get to the play on the field, I need Miami to be Ohio State. I can't see Miami be Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's really simple. Miami must play the game they played against Ohio State. If they play the game against Ole Miss, I've watched this Indiana team a couple times. They can have slow starts. They can be a little middling sometimes, but what they rarely ever do is play stupid football. They
Yep.
just, you might be in a stalemate with them or whatever, but if you start making mistakes, you are done because there is one consistent about that team. I mean, they're kind of like Utah, right? They got like a whole bunch of guys like on 6
Mhm.
years and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
So it's almost like they've made Mormon missions on that team. They're all grown ass men. And they play really, really smart. So would you agree we need the Canes that played against Ohio State, not the Canes that played against Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think 1,000% accurate. And I would say the guys who showed up in the first half against Ohio State, because even the second half wasn't necessarily that great. It was really what they did in the first two quarters and jumping out to that lead. Look, this game comes down to one thing for me. It's the running game. Fernando Mendoza is an excellent quarterback, but he also has one of the best running games in the country that makes his job really, really easy. And you go back and you look at when Indiana has been challenged this year. You go to the Penn State game, you go to the Iowa game, you go to even the Oregon game that was, I think, 2020 in the fourth quarter, the regular season game, not the playoff. And Ohio State, they shut down the run for Indiana. They limited them. They didn't allow them to run the football, and they forced Fernando Mendoza to have to make big throws. And look, he's done it. But you go look at Fernando Mendoza's stats, right? On first and second down, the dude is completing 75% of his passes for 26 touchdowns and 3 picks. Third down, he's not bad. 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but 67% completion percentage, right? You got to get him in third and long. If you don't do that, you basically don't have a chance against this team because they execute at an extremely high level. And so Miami has to play lights out defense. They have 3 elite receivers that can all go up and make plays. So you got to force Fernando to beat you. And that's really the only way you have a chance against Indiana because they run the ball. I mean, that guy is thrown off play action. He's killing you all day.
How are they injury-wise?
Well, that's the big question. Mario came out on Monday in his press conference with us and said that Ahmad Moten was back and full throttle and practicing, and some of their cornerbacks who were banged up. OJ Frederic, who missed the second half of the Fiesta Bowl, was back out there, and they're optimistic about other guys coming back. Damari, look, I've covered football for a long time, brother. You know how guys cannot be completely forthcoming with injuries. So
yeah, I know that's the problem. It's kind of hard to even know what's
true.
Yeah,
So
what's true.
So Mario, I say that's why I said Mario said that. Whether or not that's true, we'll find out Monday in warmups, right? Whether who's out there. The bottom line is this: Xavier Lucas can't play the first half. So if OJ Frederic is not out there, even though Mario said he's back and practicing, then you're down your 2 starting cornerbacks against this team. That's not good. That's extremely problematic. Ahmad Moten got banged up and left the field after the second play, but he came back and he still played 18 snaps. Is he going to be 100%? No, but he's going to be out there. Whether or not, how much he can give you is an entirely different story. But those are the three big sort of injury situations. I think.
What about the tight end?
The tight end is out. He got, I think he broke some ribs on that hit that he took.
Brutal
hit. Yeah, it was a brutal hit. So he'll be out, but I think everybody else is back. I think Akeem Mesidor will be out there just fine. I saw him at the end of the game with that elbow brace, and he was happy, smiling, autographing, taking pictures with fans. So I think Akeem Mesidor is just fine, but those other injuries are questionable.
Let me ask you something, because it is such a great weapon for any quarterback at any level of football.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the tight end in this offense this year?
I think part of it was they just weren't getting consistent play from that position. They had more talent last year, obviously, with Arroyo, a guy who was just bigger, better for that position, NFL guy. I think
the Vegas kid is kind of a bust.
He's undersized, and I think the problem is you can only use him in certain patterns. And in the middle of the field, he kind of disappears a little bit because there's bigger guys around him. He's smallish. So it's more like an H-back type thing. And the Bauman kid is a blocker. They don't really have a dude there. And
I've seen more from the Bauman kid lately than I have from the starter.
Yeah, the Lofton kid, again, like it's kind of like he's more like a Swiss Army H-back type guy, man. And I think there was a reason he played a lot of running back in camp. I think they were looking to see if they could turn him into a running back. In the end, Mark Fletcher's healthy and he's handling all those snaps, but just didn't address the position well enough, probably in the portal.
Is there a recruit coming in? Is there something?
Yeah, they've got.
I would go buy one if I can buy one, because to me that's a weapon. And especially, by the way, and that'll segue into our next one. Whoever is your quarterback, you're not getting the elite of the elite. Looks like so.
Mm-hmm.
Go get a tight end, dude. Go get another playmaker on the field, so that way it's not all about Malachi, and get somebody in there that's a threat at that position. I think that's incredibly important.
The Gavin Mueller kid they signed is legitimate. He's 6'5", 255, big bodied. He is another NFL tight end. I know they were super excited. They were able to steal that kid from Colorado. He would think USC and some other schools were in on him as well, and they were able to get him. So that kid will be a big player for them in the years to come. And look, there's probably still ways to use Elijah Lofton. I just think they didn't do a good job of it this year, and figuring out how to get him the ball enough. But in this game, look, man, it's going to come down to running the ball. Like they gotta control the clock. They gotta limit Indiana's touches. Like, to me, the style that we've seen Miami play with here in these playoffs has to continue, which is basically predicated on Carson Beck not making mistakes and just possessing the ball and moving the chains. He's been great on third down. Fabulous. Just hasn't been great throwing the ball down the field. He's 1 of 7 in this last game on throws 15 yards down the field or longer. He missed guys that were open. So, but the intermediate stuff, he's been good. And as long as he does that, I think they've got a chance.
Yeah, just they've got to play a super, super clean game overall. All right, so when we talk about quarterbacks, everybody's watching the whole thing going on in the NIL and all the biggest names. What is it, Sorsby and then the Arizona State kid and all these guys are signing in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Although I said last week, and I stand by this, I don't think Miami, if you get weapons and an offensive line like you have now, I don't necessarily think you need to go have the best quarterback out there. I think you just need to get somebody that's smart and accurate. So what's the targets now at quarterback?
Yeah, I really don't know because I think, like you mentioned, Sorsby was the number one guy. They knew that was kind of a pipe dream because his girlfriend transferred to Texas Tech, so it was almost written in the stars at that point that it was going to happen. Then I think they pivoted to potentially convincing Ty Simpson to come here if he didn't go to the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Levitt. And I think, to be honest with you, when I was standing on the sideline talking to a bunch of people at the Fiesta Bowl, my impression was the last thing Mario wanted to do was piss a bunch of people off in his locker room when they're trying to win a championship and just create waves with what you're doing in the transfer portal. And I know, look, as a fan, you want your guys to be constantly thinking, what are we doing for next season? What are we doing for this next moment? But when you're playing for a championship and have a chance to win a championship and the calendar is as effed up as it is, that you're doing free agency in the middle of a playoff run, it just created some problems. And I think Miami's focus wasn't where it needed to be for 2026 because they're playing for a championship. They just didn't want to deal with how's this going to affect the locker room. Like if we go really hard after other guys, is Emory Williams all of a sudden decide, hey, I'm taking off? Like what happens if Carson Beck goes down and you need to put Emory Williams in the game? Is his head going to be where it needs to be? So I think those all became real problems. And I think, Mario put the focus on where his feet were, which is right here, right now, winning a championship, having this opportunity, making the most of it. And I think while they certainly had conversations with agents and they pursued guys I don't think it was the primary focus, bro. I just think like it's
okay. So let me ask you a follow-up to that. Because I'm coming from pure ignorance here.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they changed the rules or whatever. So when does this portal window close?
January 16th, tomorrow, is when it closes for everybody else who's not playing on Monday.
Okay, so is there a second portal window opening up during the offseason? There isn't.
There isn't, no. And that's the part that's been tough to juggle because college football is constantly evolving. And we've talked about that a lot here. But they're constantly changing the rules. Let's not forget, there's a college sports commission now. We didn't have this last year. Making sure that all of these deals are on the up and up and that they're not going over the salary cap, which is supposed to be $20.5 million. So there's a lot of stuff that's sort of evolving again in the middle of an effing playoff run, right? Like in the middle of you trying to win a championship, you're also dealing with free agency and deals and everything else. And I think, look, bottom line, I don't think there was a quarterback beyond those three that Miami felt that if it was an upgrade to what they already have, right? Like they felt like we're not going to just bring in a guy to bring in a guy. It has to be somebody who is really going to make us a better football team. And I think once those three guys sort of fell off the board, I think it's become more of let's just worry about now, and we'll worry about quarterback and everything else in the future. And
okay, so since I don't know the rules and you do, is there another opportunity for them to snatch somebody from another program that might be unhappy after spring ball or whatever down the line? I don't know the rules, so that's why I'm wondering if they're sitting back going, okay, we're going to lose out on this window because we want to focus on the national championship, which makes all the sense in the world. But we also know, hey, guys, we don't have to. We're going to have another opportunity at this point. So there is that. Does that exist at all?
Technically, according to the way the rules are set up right now, if you don't enter the transfer portal by tomorrow, or you're not somebody on one of these championship teams, because you're allowed a 5-day window after the championship to still enter the portal. Then no. Okay. Then no. But again, this thing is so fluid. Constantly, people are appealing decisions. I find it hard to believe that if somebody wanted to sue the NCAA for eligibility, right, to be able to transfer after this window, that they wouldn't be able to somehow find somebody to hear their case and to allow it to change. So could it happen? Yes. Technically, by the rules, it's not supposed to. That's my answer to you.
Okay. All right. Makes a lot of sense. All right. On the NIL front, is there anything else you're hearing besides quarterback?
Well, I mean, look, they've landed 4 guys in the portal that are pretty good players, and I know they're looking to add a kicker. I know they're still looking to add guys on the defensive line. And let's not forget, just because you're not signed right now does not mean you cannot sign and enroll at your future college in the summertime, right? So everybody who's in the portal now is a free agent all the way through. So to me, what I would say is the roster upgrades, just because the portal closes tomorrow for everybody else, doesn't mean that Miami isn't going to continue to pursue guys and potentially add guys here in the summertime. As long as they were in the portal, Miami can do that. So the additions so far, 2 wide receivers, Vandrevius Jacobs from South Carolina, Cam Vaughn from West Virginia, both veteran guys. You look at Keelan Marion, you look at what's his face, CJ Daniels. They step into those type of roles. So to me, those were good pickups. Omar Thornton, the safety from Boston College, a very experienced guy. Boston College was a terrible football team, but he's a South Florida guy. It makes sense to bring him in, to have him available in that secondary when you're losing a Keontae Scott and you're losing, some other guys that are older back there, including Jacoby Thomas. So I think good pickup. Jarquez Carter is a former recruit, 25 recruit that they went after, they didn't get. He ended up signing with Ohio State. They bring him in. He makes up for the Donta Simpson loss. So I look at it as this. They need to add a kicker. They're going after a couple of edge rushers, including the kid who was at Missouri this past year, who's making a boatload of money. Was making a boatload of money this past season at Missouri, Damon Wilson. Caleb Herring is somebody else they looked at from Tennessee. And then there's a defensive lineman, Keona Davis, who was a starter for Nebraska. So those guys they're basically looking to add D-line or even offensive tackle. I know that Jordan Seaton was somebody that they were looking into. But again, it's like, if this guy's going to upgrade us, we'll take him. If it's not really going to upgrade us, we're confident in what we got in our room.
Okay. All right. When you look at the game and you're previewing it, what do you tell Canes fans? What's the breakdown say?
So I picked Miami to win the game, and I think there was one play. I watched the Oregon Indiana game, and there was one play that stood out to me where Fernando Mendoza took off running. I don't know if you remember this play or even watched the game. But he took off running full speed and tried to make a spin move, ended up fumbling, losing the football, but his teammates ended up getting the ball back for him.
Right.
And as I watched him take off running, I thought to myself, there's no way in hell Miami's going to let him run like that. If he does, they're going to take one of his legs out, and it's going to be end of the game. And it just got me to thinking, like, Indiana's a great football team. They are a machine right now. But Miami plays the game so violently, right? Everything is a big hit. Everything is a big block. Everything is physicality.
Yes.
That's what they shocked Ohio State with. They shocked Ohio State with their physicality.
Yes.
So why can't they do that to this Indiana team who barely beat Ohio State 13-10?
I agree. I believe they will. But if you don't play clean,
right?
The only reason the Ole Miss game was a game,
right,
because the Canes were beating themselves constantly.
Correct.
If the Canes don't beat themselves in the Ole Miss game, they win that game by 10 or 14 points easily, dude.
I guarantee
walking away. To me, I'm with you. Miami's the more physical team against Indiana, but we can't see the boneheaded Miami team show up.
100%. 100% accurate.
Cannot happen. Because that tells you how good the Canes are. They screwed up a whole bunch against Ole Miss and still won the game.
Yeah,
you're not. See, you won't do that against Ohio State, and you didn't. Mm-hmm. That's why you won. Yeah. And definitely against Indiana, who beat Ohio State. If you don't play clean, dude, you can play all the tough you want. It won't matter.
No, 100%. But I just think, look, they're playing at home. I know people are going to say, well, but it's not really a home game. There's going to be more Indiana, and there probably will be more Indiana fans there because of the ticket sales.
It's home, dude. They know the stadium, they know the field, they know everything.
They're sleeping in their beds. There's no getting on a plane and having to go anywhere.
Right.
So I just think the mentality that they need to have in that game is going to be there. And let's not forget, this is the first championship game for Indiana. There's going to be a lot of nerves on that side too, right? Like those kids have been really, really calm and cool all the way through to this point. But now you're playing for a national championship, and now you're going to get smacked in the mouth, and somebody knows that they're going to try to hit you hard, and it's just a different different atmosphere. Here's something else to take note. This is only, I think, the fourth game Indiana's playing on natural grass, which again, you should be fine on natural gas, and they blew out the last two teams. They played on natural grass rather. But the point is, it's a different environment that they're used to playing in. That's all.
In a different generation, I always used to be able to use a Jennifer Capriati joke at that point, but I can't do that anymore. I forgot about that, so I can't even do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? But by the way, to be accurate, right? They do sleep in their beds until a certain point because they do have to sleep like at the Fontainebleau, I think, the night before, which is good, by the way.
I don't even know, to be honest. They usually sleep at Shula. Shula's was the hotel for the longest time.
No, I think it's the Fontainebleau this time.
And now it could be the Fontainebleau now. But the point is, they're not getting on a plane.
I'm sure Mario would rather have that than the couple nights before because you've got them controlled. You know what I'm saying? So
right. And he's got this team controlled, dude. Like, there's, to me, the leadership internally, like the guys that are running the team for real in the locker room, like they're not gonna let anything stupid happen. So
okay. All right, what do you got going on in the Athletics so Canes fans can check you out?
Yeah, well, I got a couple stories that I've been working on. One, what does this mean to the Cuban community of South Florida? Right, this game, right?
Yes.
You got Cubans on both sides, and and then also just what it means for the long-suffering Miami fan. Think about the last 23 years and all the tough to stomach moments, brother. I mean, it's been
and tough for Dolphins/Canes fan because the Dolphin fan has been suffering like 40 years, and the Canes fans 20. So it's like 60 total years of suffering. So at least, half of it is gone now because we're clearly headed for better days with the Canes. With the Dolphins, I have no idea what's going to happen. None of us do. But, man, it's nice to have one of the two solved.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navaro. He will be back for our Kaneswear post-game show and our Kaneswear post-game report on Monday night. So make sure you join us as we talk about the Canes' 6th championship, which will be a beautiful thing. Manny, have a fantastic weekend, my brother. We will catch up on Monday night.
Same to you, brother. Take care.
You got it. There you go. And, of course, visit our friends at the Big Cheese, another absolute hard rock, not stadium, but hard rock place supporter. You go there, the walls are full of Hurricanes memories and pictures and autographs and all kinds of stuff that will blow you away from the last 40 plus years. They've been at it for 40 years at bigcheesemiami.com. They give you family servings, so I can guarantee you're probably going to take some food home. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Maybe not for Sean, maybe you go in there and you're kind of hungry, you'll finish it up, but most of us, you're going to take some food home. And those garlic rolls, they are to die for. You're going to love those garlic rolls. Plus, they give you a little pizza sauce on the side so you can dip. The lasagna, the baked ziti, the sauteed chicken, the chicken francais, the fried mozzarella. I can just go on and on and on. The pies are amazing. And, of course, they've got the party platters. 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue. Give them a ring. 305-662-6855. thebigcheesemiami.com.
You've been listening to the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navaro. At the Big Cheese Miami, they continue to purchase the same high-quality ingredients that the most expensive Italian restaurants use. The difference is they serve large portions at a family price. Visit the Big Cheese at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue in Miami. Call 305-662-6855 or go to thebigcheesemiami.com. Go Canes!
All right. Don't forget you can make a donation to the show, Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show, Cash App or Venmo. You can make a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, or Solana donation also. By the way, Bitcoin trying to approach 97 now. It's at 96,764. See if we can bust out back to over 100, which would be a beautiful thing. Don't need it anymore? Oh, I'm sorry, dude. Yeah. Might be able to help you. I just got to search. I got to switch. I think I have something here. Here, put that jacket over there so I don't ruin it. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Think Blue Dodgers checking in from LA. Thank you, sir. As always, I appreciate you. He's checking in, and he says he's about to get stoned too. Okay, all right. Thanks for the. See, that's quick right there, buddy. That's coming true, man. Just for you. Cables. You want cables? We've got cables for you. That's for damn sure here on the show. Samuel says, if the stinking Steelers get Chris Shula, I'll bet yet another coach we either had or let get away or had a chance to get or didn't just like Vrabel. Bro, you're not putting Chris Shula and Mike Vrabel in the same sentence, right? You're really not doing that, right? Chris Shula is a defensive coordinator and a very young defensive coordinator. He's been on 2 NFL teams. The San Diego Chargers as a quality control coach, and then he's been with McVay. And that's it. He's young. You don't even know if he can build a staff. You don't even know if he can be a head coach. You have no idea. Chris Shula is, and by the way, once again, I'll say it over and over again. The last place that Chris Shula should ever get hired is the Miami Dolphins. Can you imagine having to get hired by the Dolphins and then you have to live and work under the shadow of your grandfather? Undefeated season, all that kind of stuff. You're going to hear about that constantly and all. No, dude. No. Don't. It's the worst thing that Chris Shula could ever do. Plus, the fans, the second he doesn't even seem like Don Shula, they're going to just, And the interesting part is it's Shula's actual kids never turned into great head coaches themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like this is like a fantasy that fans create just because the name is Shula. And it doesn't mean anything, dude. And by the way, very few people follow in the footsteps of their, like Shanahan has been able to do it, but those things are few and far between, man. It's just, it is what it is. So the worst place is the Miami Dolphins for Chris Shula. Okay. I hope he moves up the ladder. I hope he does get a chance. If he wants to be a head coach, God bless him, dude. I hope he gets the opportunity. I hope he's successful. But I wouldn't try it here. One, it's a terrible, let's go back full circle. The foundation, the reputation, everything. This is a terrible place. So a guy like that should go somewhere where, like if the Rooneys do hire him, okay, the Rooneys are going to truly support you and help you along, you know what I mean? And give you a chance to really succeed. I can't say that the Miami Dolphins really are the kind of place that you can succeed because that ownership cannot be considered that, unfortunately. YouTube says, hey, this is Adam in Indy. I could be wrong, but my gut says John Eric Sullivan's hires Halfley. I'm with you. I'd prefer Joe Brady or Clint Kubiak. By the way, they added Joe Brady yesterday to the list after I said, I like Joe Brady. That's my favorite guy, Joe Brady, out there, and he's not on the list. They added him to the list now, so I really like Joe Brady. I would take a chance. I first want Mike McCarthy because that's an experienced coach, and I've told you where the Dolphins are at right now. They got to be treated like an expansion team. I kind of need a guy that's going to weather the storm and been through it all and experience. So my first choice would be Mike McCarthy. My second, he's not on the list, so that's out the window. That doesn't matter. But my second choice now that you added Joe Brady, it's Joe Brady. Because Campanelli took the spot the day before when they added him. Now they added Joe Brady. So now I've got Joe Brady in front of Campanelli. Okay? You get me Brady or Campanelli out of the young guys, I'm hoping for the best. I like them. I'm not going to lie. I like them. I do. Probably Salah would be my 4th spot. So McCarthy 1, Brady 2. And again, McCarthy doesn't count. And then what's it called? Kubiak 3 and Salah 4. That's probably the order right now when I have seen the reshuffled deck of all these interviews that they're doing. Yeah, who knows what they'll add today and tomorrow and the next week and all that. I mean, listen, we've got the Senior Bowl in a week and a half, right? It's the 15th. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We got no, you got to be there a little before that. So it's like 10 days. So you want to have your coach within the next 10 days. And the only reason you may not get it is if you're in love with Kubiak and he makes it all the way to the Super Bowl.
I was going to say it was interesting yesterday because they had said something about I guess Allen had the tweet part, and he had said that, remember, they hadn't hired Flores or McDaniel till February because they were both still playing deep into the playoffs in the Super Bowl. So.
Right. So that could happen. If they like Kubiak, which I don't mind, I get it. He's got a good resume. He may turn into, he's got the breeding and everything. So you never know. Probably won't work out, but you got to try it, right? It's hard. Listen, I get a lot of you don't want to go with a young, unproven coach, and I understand, but the only proven guy that is not even on the list is McCarthy. It's not like they had a chance ever at any of the other guys. They weren't going to get Harbaugh and Tomlin. Even if Tomlin decided to coach, the Dolphins would not even be a destination. So, that's just stupid talk. So McCarthy's the only guy that I would. That's why I really want McCarthy. Because, out of the young guys, I'll tell you who I like. But, we all know that's going to be hit and miss. You know what I'm saying? But those guys have good resumes. And one of them is going to hit at one point or another. I mean, Jesus, man, we got to get lucky once with one of these young guys. Damn, dude. I know they can't all suck, bro. Every head coach ever hired by the Miami Dolphins never has done anything else at the NFL level again. Every one of them. It's terrible. It shows you that the guys you've hired and decided to give them a contract to be head coach of the Miami Dolphins, you did a terrible job because those people never went on to do anything else anywhere else. I mean, the Dolphins are so bad that Jimmy Johnson's career died here. That's how bad it is. Lenny says, why didn't Mendoza's dad didn't want him to come to UM? Was it because they didn't recruit? No, it's because they didn't recruit him. They didn't recruit him. That's what it was.
And again, I don't know. Again, the stories that go, how it happens is apparently he tried to walk on, and Manny Diaz and them were not interested.
They weren't
in walking on at Miami.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how, stories go around everywhere, but apparently
he wasn't a highly recruited guy.
Yeah,
man.
He was only a 3-star.
Yeah, he was a 3-star. So it is what it is, dude. And by the way, just because they recruit him doesn't mean he was going to have success, And let me say one more thing, because there's this thing going around with fans and the NFL, and I got to tell you something. Cignetti does not look like an NFL coach to me at all. At all. He is 100% a college football coach. Yeah, he's Saban. You cannot coach that style in the NFL, and he's not going to change. At this age, he's not changing his ways. He is perfect for college football. When I look at Cignetti, I do not see NFL there at all. I don't know how people are thinking NFL. I understand that X's and O's and intelligence and all that. I'm sure he has it for the NFL. That's not even a question. But his demeanor, his attitude, the way he handles himself, it is not NFL caliber. You will not survive in the NFL with that, what's that called? Dictator type of approach. You just don't. Unless you're the guy that has 8 rings, you might be able to get away with it. But even the guy that used to have 6 rings, he stopped getting away with it. Because you got to win. And in the end, one guy showed that it was a whole difference in his in his resume. So, to me, the Cignetti thing is insanity when people talk about him for their NFL team. I'm sorry. I don't see it at all. Not at all. By the way, I'm going to tell you something. Now that Harbaugh took the job with the Giants, okay, as expected that he would take that job, maybe Atlanta, maybe Tennessee, but definitely not here in Miami. And now that we've seen the owner of the Ravens come out and talk and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Ravens made a massive mistake here. A massive mistake. Okay? And everything's gone well with Biscotti overall. He has made most of the right calls pretty much throughout his career. Not always, Ray Rice thing probably blew up in his face a bit. But I'm going to tell you this. I would have kept Harbaugh. And I would have moved on from Lamar instead. You're going to now extend Lamar Jackson. Running quarterbacks do not age well in the NFL. And he's taken so many shots. He's breaking down the last 2 years. To me, that's a huge mistake. What the Baltimore Ravens should have been doing is planning for a transition in the next couple of years at that position. Because I've never seen an old running quarterback in the NFL. Cam Newton is the freak of all freaks. He's got a body like the rest of us wish we had. If we looked like Cam Newton, none of us would be walking around with shirts. Okay, we'd just be like, the ladies would be lined up all over the place. And that guy's body broke down in the NFL. Okay, that guy's built like Adonis. And the NFL broke him in half. Running quarterbacks, it does not end well. And to me, I don't know how they don't see the writing on the wall the last 2 years watching Lamar break down. Because he has to use his legs in order to be an effective quarterback. He cannot sit there and live in the pocket. He cannot all of a sudden change his ways and become a pocket passer. That's not who he is. You think Josh Allen is all of a sudden going to change his ways and stay in the pocket? No. That's not who they are. They've got to run. But Josh is bigger than Lamar. He can take on more punishment. And by the way, how did he look after this week? And that guy's big and tough. You think Lamar could have taken the beating that Josh Allen just took this past weekend? No way. No way. This was a huge mistake by the Ravens. They should have kept Harbaugh, and they should have worked on some kind of a deal to, maybe you keep Lamar for another couple. But in the process, I would have been drafting another quarterback, and I would have been developing the future. Because the future is not Lamar. Lamar's had his present and his past. He's on the decline now, and it's super obvious. He got his way. The players got their way, whatever. All I know about this player empowerment stuff, it doesn't work. Okay? It doesn't work. Sorry. I'm not for player empowerment. Okay, they could get the money that they deserve, and I have no problem with that. But I don't want the inmates running the asylum because they don't make objective and logical decisions. They make passionate and emotional decisions, which usually are the wrong ones because you have to take your emotion out of it. Kind of like a couple years ago. X has 10 interceptions, and I tell you, right now is the time to trade him this offseason. And 99% of you lost your minds. Why? You couldn't take the emotion and the passion out of it. You couldn't be objective. Got to do that. You got to know when to get off the gravy train. You got to understand when it is. And the Lamar Jackson gravy train is coming to an end. And Biscotti doesn't see it, and he made an enormous mistake. He chose the wrong path here. Anyway, Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. Cash App or Venmo. You can make that Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, or Solana donation. And, of course, send in your questions, comments, insults, all kinds of good stuff. We are out here at Kaneswear, 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Come on by and say hi. Right across the street from the Fort Lauderdale United, by the way. They will be back in action on the 31st of January. They'll be taking on Lexington SC at 7:30 at Beyond Bankcard Field. You can get your season tickets, by the way, for the second half of the season at FTLUTD.com. That's FTLUTD.com. Ross ran Parcells out of Miami, and not one established name has come since. Ross is no doubt the problem. He has been, NorCal. And now his family will be the problem. His family. Ross and his family are running the team. Zachary says, I'm a young Dolphins fan, only about 20 years old. Do you think you can explain why Don Shula was not a good GM? Well, because when Don Shula was great, he had people like Young, Thomas, and Beathard picking the talent for him. And then, listen, this happened. Hey, Mike Tomlin sucks in personnel. Let's just call it like we see it. Mike Tomlin won in the early part of his career with Bill Cowher's guys. Then when Bill Cowher's quarterback got old and died out on him, guess what? He has final say in personnel, Mike Tomlin. So will John Harbaugh. He didn't have it in Baltimore, but now he will. And Mike Tomlin has it in Pittsburgh. Him and Omar, they have to agree. If the coach doesn't agree, the player doesn't come. So look at all the nutcases that they draft and deal with constantly. That's on Tomlin. Tomlin is the modern-day Shula. It's hilarious, dude. When you get old enough in life, things repeat like crazy, dude. And you relive it. The Steelers have been living what the Dolphin fans were living with Don Shula in the second half. Because the old man was trading Anthony Carter for Robin Senline. And it didn't work out. And you trade for Hugh Green and his knee blows out. And you draft Sammy Smith and not Davenport, was it something like that? What was the name of the running back? Anyway, poor guy died in a car crash, a gas station, whatever. I forgot. Anyway, but it just, and that was the problem, young man. That's the issue. Shula was a terrible GM once he lost his personnel people, and because he's Don Shula, nobody's going to tell him no. He had control of the damn franchise. What are you going to do? The guy's won multiple Super Bowls. He gives you, winning seasons every year and all that. So Joe Robbie had to give him final say on everything. And this is what happens with some of these guys that gain power. Then they want all the power, and they're not really good at all the jobs. David Overstreet, thank you. Kumaro, Boza. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on and talk about what a disaster Don Shula was as a general manager. He was a general mangler, is what he was. So that's the problem. And by the way, young man, it should remind you a lot of what the Heat are now. Okay? They're not very good in the front office, yet they have a great coach. Spoelstra makes everything look better than it is. Meanwhile, Riley and the front office have been constantly failing him the last 10 years. Don Shula was failing himself in the front office the last 15 years. He was exceptional on the field, Mike Tomlin fails himself in the draft room, but yet on the field, he's an excellent coach. He maximizes what he has. Yeah, many of these situations are the same, except for the Heat thing because it's kind of a mix. Spo makes everything look better than what it is because really the front office is not very good. I have to call it like I see it. They used to be a great front office. Now they're kind of a mediocre front office, unfortunately. They just have an exceptional coach that makes them look way better than what they really are. So that's the problem, my man. And sometimes you've got to look in the mirror, but these kind of people, the Don Shulas, the Mike Tomlins of the world, they're not going to blame themselves. They're too big at this point to look in the mirror and say, I shouldn't be doing personnel. Somebody else should be doing personnel. I should take my ego out of this. But they don't. And it's a shame. And that's the problem why I don't want Mike Tomlin. Even if the Dolphins had a chance, because he would want personnel power. And I've already seen what you do with personnel, and it's not fun. You bring too many idiots into the building, and then you're dealing with them constantly. And those idiots are the ones that stop you from actually becoming great. You know what I mean? Let's see. What else do we have? Jeff in Long Island. I agree with Orlando. If you can't win in the pocket, you aren't a franchise QB. And now watch how good Lamar is because he has to run less. Yeah. This is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough transition for him. That will be a tough transition for him. So, you feel Riley's being handcuffed by Mickey Arison? I don't know. Riley's never been a tear down guy. He and Mickey are, I'm going to blame them both. I'm not going to let either guy off the hook. Bro, Riley's the one that kept Butler around. Sorry. Riley's the one that signed Dion Waiters knowing he had to have ankle surgery. Riley's the guy that wanted Whiteside and Spo didn't. Spo knew the NBA was changing and Riley was not changing in his ways with the center bullshit when the league is not that anymore. And there you go. So I completely disagree with you, Frankie. Pat Riley has not done a good job of adjusting the way the NBA is done nowadays. And that whole cliche is not a cliche in his case. The NBA has passed Pat Riley by. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. If you're not willing to tear it down and go get a ton of picks and be bad and go into the lottery like Houston has, like OKC has, like a lot of these teams, Detroit, that a lot of them, San Antonio, a lot of them have resurrected their entire, just because it didn't work in Philadelphia, well, guess why it didn't work in Philadelphia? You put yourself in the position, but you didn't pick the right players. And that's it. But did San Antonio pick the right players? Did OKC pick the right players? It looks like Detroit, they were dog shit for a long time. They looked like they picked the right players. Pat Riley, Frankie, refuses to adjust to the way things are going. Okay? And I use Bitcoin all the time as the same kind of thing. You want to keep depending on the dollar? You're a fucking idiot. Pure and simple. You don't adjust to Bitcoin, you're going to pay the price. Just the way it goes. If you don't adjust to the way life changes along the way, you will fall behind. Just the way it is. And Pat Riley refuses to change. And because of that, along with Mickey, not going to let Mickey off the hook either, because he refuses to tear it down because he knows that maybe people will lose interest or whatever, and he just wants to build a team that kind of keeps you interested, which, I guess people aren't very smart on average, but that team doesn't fool me. That franchise hasn't fooled me for several years. But somehow they fool other people to buy the tickets. And I guess if you can keep the scam going, keep the scam going. What can I tell you? Can't do anything about it. Let's see. Cecil Collins. I have an autograph on my wall in my Dolphins man cave. You do, of Cecil Collins? Damn. Cecil Collins. I remember I'm on the beat. I've told this story, right, about the two girls. So I get this tip. Interesting choice of words, by the way. I get this tip that Cecil Collins was at a pool in his condominium close by the facility, and he was flashing his tip to some girls. And so it was hard for me to corroborate the story. There was no, in those days, there weren't videos and there's not cameras all over the place, which in today's world, you definitely, if you did that in the pool, you would have been busted. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't get the story. And then all of a sudden, the story breaks because the two girls then end up reporting him. So the person that I had to give the person credit. I was like, well, okay, you weren't lying to me over there in the condo, because the person I actually knew lived in the condo. So he was apparently around in the area after it had happened and saw the girls, and they were telling him, and then he knew that Cecil lived there. So I get that, but I could not, there was no way of me corroborating that story, which would have been really funny if I would have called that into QAM. But anyway, so that ends up happening. So when you tell me about Cecil, I just remember me on the beat and getting that tip, and just like, what do I do with this? Oh, man. And by the way, to this day, I don't mind that gamble. Now, when you take John Avery instead of Randy Moss, okay, and by the way, it wasn't straight up like that. You were in the 19th pick where Randy Moss fell. I believe it was 19th. And you were and you then trade down to 29 to get more picks because you want to do that whole. And so down at 29th, you end up picking John Avery because you needed a returner. But at 19th, we even asked Jimmy, well, if you would have stayed there, would you have taken Randy Moss? No, I would have taken Vonnie Holiday. So just, oh my God. Oh my God. Jimmy Johnson. What a disaster for the Dolphins. What an absolute disaster. That guy left us Dave Wanstead. Not only did he make a lot, that's another guy, by the way. Another guy that down the stretch of his career, he sucked as a general manager. So, he had no idea what he was doing as a general manager. He was a general mangler. Just because he hit on a couple of defensive picks, but everywhere else, oh my God, did that man make stupid decision after stupid decision. Yeah. Well, Pat, nobody's pushing Pat out the door. I'm not going to, I'll be honest about it, but I don't want Pat fired. Pat can go whenever he wants, but I'm going to be honest and say Pat's doing the wrong thing constantly. And that is sad. Yeah, right. We're still paying it for doing it. Yeah, we still haven't replaced Shula. Even though Huizinga pushed Shula out the door, you really never got a coach that was better than him. What happened? What did Raul? Oh, let me see what happened. He says, hey, oh, my dad is there. Raul Vasquez, are you in the house? I don't know. I just yelled your dad's name. I got no response, Joey. Joey, I think your dad Raul doesn't want to acknowledge you. That's the problem. That's what it is. So if Raul Vasquez is here, he probably doesn't want to acknowledge that his son Joe. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Raul Vasquez is here. He does want to acknowledge you, Joey. No. Yeah, Joey. Joey, get back to work, you lazy bastard. What's wrong with you? See, Dad is straight. Give Dad the mic a second there. So, Raul, why is so does Joey work with you? And so he's slacking and he's watching the show.
It's our company, but I mean.
Okay, so I'm doing the math here. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
Slacker.
It's our company. He's doing good. But
so he's a time-stealing, he's a corporate time-stealing weasel, as Jim Mandich would say, the late, great Jim Mandich.
Said. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got
Riding around with my windows down.
Okay, so just for that, you're not buying Joey anything, right?
No,
just for that.
I looked for him, but I decided you come buy your own stuff, Joe.
There you go. There you go, Joey. You got it. Your
Lazy
dad
bum.
says you got to go buy your own stuff. You see, lazy bum and everything, Joey.
All
What's
right,
wrong
Joe.
with you?
You're the man, Joe.
Much
I
love,
love you.
Joey. Appreciate you, brother. Way to go, Ro. Thank you. Appreciate you. So there you go. There you go. The Vasquez family is in the house. First for everything, right? Although, no, we had in Spain, we had a parents and the son was watching, actually. We had that combination. So we had parents that, when we were in Spain covering the Dolphins game, we had a pair of parents that came on that they watched the show also, and their son was watching the show back in America. There you go. So there you go. Let's see. Shula's downfall was when he was old school and build teams with pride and hard work. Free agency players were driven by money over pride in their craft. He just wasn't good in the draft. He wasn't good in free agency. He wasn't good in trades. Once he lost Young, who, by the way, built 2 Super Bowl teams with the Giants, once he lost Thomas, once he lost Beathard, who went on to have more success than him with the Chargers and all of that. So, and Falcons, I think also Beathard helped out. So that really was Shula's downfall, was that he lost his personnel people, and then he really never replaced them. And that's because he didn't look in the mirror and say, I got to get out of this. I can coach anybody and everybody. Dude, we got the scab players. And I think they lost like 1 game during the scab run of 4 or 5 games or some stupid crap like that. And they were like the least penalized scab team and everything. Shula could coach anything, dude, and make it better. He truly needed personnel people. He really needed it in a bad way. He would have won another couple Super Bowls. He wouldn't have lost Super Bowls. He would have won 1 or 2 more easily if he would have had a personnel guru behind him. But once he lost those people that brought in all that talent from the 70s, they were never the same again, dude. They were never the same again. So, yeah, I get it. And the free agency thing started in his last couple of years. And obviously the old man wasn't built for that because that was something completely new. It's kind of like what we saw with Larinaga. NIL came in, and that wore out Jim Larinaga to the bone. Having to re-recruit every day, every moment, every week, it killed Larinaga, and he had to get out because the game that's what Saban didn't want to deal with that anymore because he saw where it was going, and he was kind of tired of it. There's been a lot of coaches like that have, sometimes things change and they can adjust. Or some of them say, I can't adjust or don't want to, and I got to get out. But if you're not going to adjust, you're going to fall behind. And that's exactly what happened to Shula. Okay, and that's what's happening to the Miami Heat. They refuse to adjust, so they continue to fall behind. It's a shame. It's a real shame. If the Heat front office were to have a couple of stabs at the lottery, there's no doubt they'd pick the right players. Look at what they've been able to do with mid to late first round picks. But Lenny, they refuse to put themselves in that position. And that's pure ignorance on their part. I don't understand it, to be quite honest. I don't. What do you got for me? By the way, John Morant bought a $3.2 million home here in Miami. Now, word has it has a shooting range. Not exactly sure. Not exactly sure, but word has it's got its own shooting range and everything. You know, it's got not for basketball, just in case, folks. What do you got for me?
Joe Shad says the Packers and Matt LaFleur, right, what you said, have had a disagreement about money and term. According to Adam Schefter, but they're still working on it.
Okay.
So there's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance. I got to tell you something.
Fins fans, go.
I am not as in love with Matt LaFleur as everyone else is on television. And all these insiders, if he'll be wanted right away. And I'm sure he's going to be wanted right away. There's 9 openings, dude, or 8 now because Harbaugh took one. So I'm sure. But I got to tell you something. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be like, hanging out with the pots and pans on 8th Street. We got Matt LaFleur is in the house. LaFleur. No, bro. I'm going to say, okay, let's see what you can do, bro. We'll see what you can do. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not the guy that's in there going, oh, my God, Matt LaFleur is freaking amazing. I think he's done all right, but I'm not like sitting there going, wow. He's not Mike Vrabel, put it that way. Okay? When I look at Mike Vrabel, well, you all know my reaction last year. I wanted, those of you that watch constantly, I wanted him from that Colts game from last year. From that moment on, I said, man, Vrabel's available. Go after him. I doubt he would have come here. I doubt he would want to work for Stephen Ross, but I would have tried. God, I would have tried. Do you look at, is it just me? Do you look at LaFleur like you look at Vrabel? Okay. All right. Right. I mean, Vrabel got to the AFC Championship game with Ryan Tannehill. And now he's got a second-year quarterback, and he's already deep into the playoffs. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't – and his first year with the team, exactly. The guy changed the culture, the direction, and everything of the team. The reputation of the team that it had just the last couple of years, that they were headed to being just a mediocre team. He changed it all right away. I'm sorry. When I look at Mike Vrabel, you hire Mike Vrabel, and I'm going crazy for the Dolphins. Like, oh, my God, we are back, baby. You hire Matt LaFleur, and I'm like, all right, we'll see. Can't tell you I'm going to go crazy for Matt LaFleur. Yeah, I just can't. Big O, what do you think about Antonio Pierce? I thought he did an all right job overall. He's interviewing. He interviewed with the Giants. I know that. And then he's interviewing somewhere else. I forgot where. Might have been Tennessee. Atlanta. Matt Ryan. Okay. But if you're asking me, I'd rather have Anthony Campanelli over him. I'd rather have Kubiak over him. I'd rather have Salah over him. And I certainly want Mike McCarthy over him. So there's a couple guys that I would like over Antonio Pierce. But I'm not going to say that Antonio did a bad job. I think considering the situation he was in, I thought he did an all right job. Yeah. Was Eddie Jones he was a president, not GM, if I'm correct. Okay. He was the president. And rest in peace. He was a very nice man. Very, very nice man. He was part of the mediocre trend of the Dolphins, unfortunately. There were many people that were part of it, and Eddie Jones, a very nice man, and all that. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Let's see. The Packers don't want to pay Matt. I'm out, says Mark. By the way, remember, NorCal, the Packers are completely different than all 31 teams in the NFL. Okay? Remember, the Packers don't have an owner. So it's not, when it comes to money and all those kind of things, that's why they're not big free agent players. But by the way, they have the biggest reserves in the NFL. You know that? Cash reserves? They have the biggest cash reserves in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers. But when it comes to paying and all that, it's like a real process to extract money and all that. So I would kind of also say, NorCal, that situation is the only situation like itself in the NFL. There is no one owner there. There's not one dude, one woman, one family that says, cut the check. No, this, no, it's a board. It's really a complicated situation. So the Packers, in the way they're constructed, for them to have the kind of success that they've had is actually pretty amazing. It really is. What were you going to say?
No, I just was locating Eddie Jones.
Yes.
Apparently, he was hired in 1988 as vice president of administration and finance.
Right.
And then in 1990, he was named executive vice president and general manager.
Okay.
It says he moved up to president in 96 and remained in that position until retirement following the 2005
Right. What year
season.
was it he was general manager?
It just says in 1990, he was named executive vice president and general manager.
Right. But under Don Shula, it's a title, Frankie, but he was president, bro. He was vice president. He was president. Eddie Jones was not a what's it called? A talent evaluator, my brother. It wasn't. No. No. And by the way, rest in peace, Eddie. I don't think he wants to take any credit for a lot of the stuff that went on during that time. Okay, because there's a lot of bad moves, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely a Shula guy. Yes. What else? Big O between LeFleur and McCarthy. You would take McCarthy, but would you put LeFleur number one on the current Dolphin list? No, I told you. No. I'm gonna go with my other guys. Yeah, I'm not a LaFleur guy. I'll take Salah over LaFleur. How about that? Yeah, I'm not a LaFleur does nothing for me. So I hope he comes and proves me wrong. Let's see. Big old Bobby Beathard also built 2 Super Bowl champions in Washington. Yes, exactly. Also had success in Washington. Success with the Chargers, Washington, and then he helped out a little bit in Atlanta, I think it was also. Beathard was a monster, and it was a huge loss for us. Thomas was a loss. Young was a loss. We actually had like a monster personnel staff in the early days. That's why we were monsters. That's why the team was so good. We had people that actually knew what they were doing, man. We haven't had that in forever. We haven't had people that understand, okay, you win at the line of scrimmage, let's build up those lines. And that's what they did. And it's the weirdest thing in the world. You know? Why not? You're crazy. He is the best coach out there right now. What are you saying, Dolphin Dave? Let's see. Well, everybody struggles with the Jets. I don't really count that overall. I think he's a good coach, and what he did this year with that defense in San Francisco and missing as many people, I actually think he's a damn good coach overall. I'd give him another shot as a head coach, and he's already been at it So he's done it where he's built a staff. I just think the Jets place is so dysfunctional. And maybe if John Eric Sullivan is the guy, and I like his resume, hopefully they get lucky and they find a guy. If you could get a strong general manager, I think that will give Salah, Kubiak, Campanelli, McCarthy, whoever you hire, if John Eric Sullivan is good at this, then whoever you hire is going to have a really good chance to succeed. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to hope that all this stuff works out for once. For once. All right. What else do we have? Remember, folks, smash the hell out of the like button. Very important that you hit the like button. Come on, man. Get us over 100. We only got 78 likes right now. You can easily get us over 100. We are about to hit 97,000 because we are at 96,931 on Bitcoin. So we are now starting to climb back to the 97 part. By the way, the Dow is doing really well. The Dow is up 401. The S&P is up 46, and the NASDAQ is up about 2/3 of a point. So there you go. That's what's going on in the markets. All right. Let me do a little music here, by the way. Always love doing a little music. Oh, man. Looking for I need to get to a concert as soon as possible, dude. Well, what are you gonna do? Well, what do you got? Huh?
Pitbull is starting his concert.
Yeah, my wife told me about that Pitbull, and they're giving away like Panther the national championship tickets or something.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't get.
Yeah, you
this
go to
was from his actual
that Pitbull concert. That's going to be I don't know where it's at, and there's another performer on there.
Oh, that's before the national championship game.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That he actually has a tour that starts in West Palm.
Oh, okay.
With Little John and DJ Laz is going to be opening the sets for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What?
Oh, what? Yeah. So Pitbull is doing a performance. I don't know when, Saturday or Sunday or whatever. And they're also giving away a pair of national championship tickets during that whole thingamajig. Just in case if any of you want to go, by the way. All right, let's go with musicians celebrating birthdays today. Let's start off with Lisa Velez. In other words, you know her as Lisa from the Cult Champ, born in 1967. Adam Jones, guitarist from NorCal's favorite band, Tool, born in 1965. Let's see. Who else is celebrating birthdays today? Roger McLaughlin, bass guitarist with the Little River Band, born in 1954. Boris Blank, musician with Yellow. Oh, yeah. Born in 1953. Biff Byford, lead singer for Saxon, born in 1951. Ronnie Van Zant, lead singer with Leonard Skinner, unfortunately passed away in 1977, born in 1948. Let's see who else celebrating birthdays today. Edward Bivens from the Manhattans, born in 1942. And that's it for musicians. Let's go with other famous people born on this date. Remember, if I don't give you an age, that means unfortunately they have passed away. Actor Lloyd Bridges, born in 1913. Nobel Peace Prize winner, Reverend Martin Luther King, and civil rights leader, born in 1929. Let's see. Actress, musician, Charo, born in 1951. She is 75. By the way, if you ever want to freak out, because everybody looks at Charo and she was like a sex symbol of the 70s and all that in the 80s, go look at her as a flamenco guitarist. Okay, go look at Charo playing the guitar. Like, that'll blow you away. Like, holy crap. Like, she kicks ass on the guitar. Mario Van Peebles, born in 1957. He's 69 today. Actor James Nesbitt, born in 65, he's 61. Actress Regina King, born in 71, she's 55. Drew Brees, born in 79, he's 47. Musician Pitbull, born in 81, he's 45. Now you mentioned that. DJ Skrillex, for you youngers out there, born in 88, he's 38. And that is it. Sean Stanley, do you have wrestlers born on this date?
Yes, sir. Somebody shared the ring with Bull Buchanan, turns 58. The creator of Championship Wrestling from Florida, Eddie Graham, was born on this date in 1930. Kelly Kelly turns 39. This might be the oldest one I've seen.
Kelly is 39?
Kelly Kelly's 39.
Is she married to Victor of the Marlins?
That I do not know.
Okay,
I'll
I'm
check that one out.
just checking, because
Yeah.
Kelly should marry Victor.
But then she'd be Kelly Victor.
There you go.
Or will be Kelly Victor.
And then maybe maybe Victor can also change his name to Victor Kelly. That way they have names are Kelly Victor and Victor Kelly. They sound normal now. You don't sound normal if you're Kelly and Victor. See, I'm trying to solve a problem here.
Yeah, but they're both entertainers, so it doesn't. There's no loophole. You got a pit bull.
Kelly Victor and a Victor Kelly. I'm telling you, that sounds just so much normal than Kelly and Victor.
I'll take your word on that one.
Okay, I'm just saying.
This might be the oldest one I've had. Martin Burns was born on this date in 1861. Nico Vance is 27.
Did that guy invent wrestling?
I don't.
I mean, if he is 1861, that guy must have invented wrestling.
Wow, wrestling's been around for a long time.
No, but I mean, like WWE or something. That's the guy that started it all, bro.
No.
No?
Vince
Okay.
Vance Sr. started.
Okay.
Preston Vance is 34. And speaking of McMahon's, Shane McMahon, he turns 56 on January 15th, 2000.
How many
26.
McMahons are there?
There's a bunch of McMahons. There's an Ed McMahon.
No, I'm talking
There's
about
a Vince McMahon.
No, I'm
There's
talking
a
about
Shane
those
McMahon.
McMahons, like Vince McMahon. Like, how many McMahons did he leave us with?
I mean, from him, it's Shane and
the woman,
Stephanie.
Okay.
Who's now a
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry,
All right.
Levesque.
All right. I'm just saying we don't need that many McMahons in the world. I'm just saying. Let's cut off the McMahon producing there. All right, let's go to music history. Those of you are always wondering what happened today in music history. Well, today in 72, Led Zeppelin's Black Dog made its debut on the U.S. singles charts. In 76, Peter Frampton released his double live album, Frampton Comes Alive, and it features the singles Show Me the Way, Baby, I Love Your Way, and Do You Feel Like We Do. And I remember going to a record store in Passaic, New Jersey. I was hanging out in the summer visiting my cousins who lived in Passaic, and I went to a record store in 76 and bought that record. And I still have that record, by the way. Still have that record to this day. In 77, the Eagles were number one on the U.S. album charts with Hotel California, the group's third U.S. number one album. In 82, Harry Casey of Casey and the Sunshine Band was seriously injured in a head-on crash. In 1990, the Sundays released their debut album, Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic, that is. It features Here's Where the Story Ends. Let's see, what else? In 2008, Ronnie Wood was recovering following a hernia operation after sustaining the injury during the band's recent Bigger Bang tour. The 60-year-old Rolling Stone guitarist was told to rest for 2 months after the procedure. In 2018, Irish musician and singer-songwriter Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries died unexpectedly while she was in London for a recording session. The Cranberries had the 1994 hit Linger, Dreams, and Zombie, and the band's 93 debut album, Everybody Else Is Doing It, So Why Can't We, reached number 18 on the U.S. Billboard 200 chart. And that is in 2021, Shame released her second studio album, Drunk Tank Pink, and it features the singles Alphabet, Water in the Well, Snow Day, and Born in Luton. Let me see if there's any birthdays that weren't on the other list. Captain Beefheart, born today in 41. And that's it. And that is what happened today in Musica history. That's what it's all about. Musica history. By the way, Acura Pembroke Pines, proud sponsor of our program. And they've got the customer appreciation sales event going on right now. And you could get the 2026 Integra, $239 a month, 2.9% financing for 60 months. The ADX 2025 model, $239 a month, only 1.9% financing for 60 months. The RDX 2025 model, $369 a month, 3.9% financing for 60 months. And the 2025 TLX, you can get it for $389 a month, 3.9% financing for 60 months. Make sure you tell them that Big O sent you. They are at 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. They are the finest Acura dealership in the business. It is Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Frankie Fresco, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says, if you were hired as the Dolphins head coach, what would be your first big move that the team to go in the right direction? Yeah, go ahead.
Cancel Frankie Fresco season tickets.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. If you have season tickets, Frankie, I'd cancel. No, seriously, my first move as a head coach, block all the air vents so you can't get in. It's one of the few times you actually catch me laughing at my own joke. Actually, because, I couldn't help myself, Frankie. That was like a lob. And, that was a volley, and I had to slam it, bro. I had to Yvonne Lendl that bitch. So, sorry about that, okay? I had to. No, I mean, if you want to play this hypothetical thing, Frankie, I would get rid of all the dead weight salary-wise, from Tua to Chubb to everything else, and then try to restart everything here. I've got a whole bunch of picks coming up over the next 2 years. Miami is in a terrific position, actually. Here's the thing. If you're the idiot that thinks you're going to make a quick turnaround, then you're a moron and you're going to be miserable and that's over. But if you actually look at the Dolphins situation and say you take a long approach and you're looking for year 3 and 4, I hate to say this. I know that we've done this over and over again. It's a monster positive situation because you're going to have cap issues for the next 2 years, but you got a bunch of picks. Plus, you got a nice young nucleus that you need to develop. You got to develop those D linemen. You got people you got to develop, right, overall. So you got the Dante Trader kid. You've got Patrick Paul to develop, Samanaya. You got a whole bunch of things that you got to develop overall that you already have, plus the next 2 years. So this is a great time to develop a foundation. Clear out. You don't need big salaries. You don't need big free agents. You're not ready to compete. So clear out all the big free agent money, all that kind of stuff. Clear out all that. Over the next 2 years, you clear out all the cap space. Then you draft all the guys that you do have. And then, by the way, as you let go some of these guys, you might get compensatory picks over the next year or two, which will add to the building. And then in years 3 and 4 is when I'm ready to start to compete. And maybe if I was able to build the lines up a little bit more than what I have over the next 2 years with draft picks, then I'm ready to bring in a quarterback into a situation that the young man doesn't have to do everything. He only has to facilitate. He only has to complement. But if we bring in a guy on a bad team, he has to do everything. And that's just, By the way, the Bills are pretty good, and they don't win anything because they put the weight of the world on one guy. And it's going on right now, and eventually he'll get eliminated. Josh Allen will get eliminated because your defense is not good enough, your team is not good enough, and he's really good, but you can't put it all on him. So, Frankie, for me, if I'm a coach, I'm taking the long approach, and I'm taking advantage because I have 2 years that are kind of like they're what's that called? Their honeymoon years. Because if you have a brain, you can't expect the Dolphins to be really be competitive over the next 2 years. But in years 3 and 4, I think you have a chance to really turn the corner. That's just me. But you have to have the right people. You have to have the right coach, which wouldn't be me, Frankie, by the way. Okay. And you have to have the right GM. And hopefully we have the right GM in John Eric Sullivan. Hopefully he finds the right coach that complements him, because the last GM, whether you like him or not, he didn't hire the right coaches. And the right coaches might have saved their jobs, actually. So it is what it is. What are you going to do? Oh, let's see what we got here. All right. Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. Cash App or Venmo. Man Dog says, if I was a coach being courted by the Dolphins, I would first request that the logo needs to go back to the original one. Let's see. Bid the Texans or the Patriots. I'm taking the Texans. You're going with that defense is what you're going with. I'm going to go with New England because they're more complete. And I've got the better quarterback also on the New England side. And they've got a pretty good defense overall. But I get it, dude. I get it going with Houston. They could win. With that defense, they could win. But I'll tell you this. If CJ Stroud is going to play the way he played last week against the Patriots, he will lose. That I can guarantee you. He will lose. So I'm going to go Patriots. I have an edge on the coach, and I have an edge on the overall team. And I have an edge at quarterback. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Well, maybe, I shouldn't even say edge at coach because D'Amico Ryans has proven his worth. But either way, whatever you want. He's, Vrabel's done more, but whatever. What else? Bloodywood is back. He says, guys, sorry, we have been busy getting ready for our tour. Remember that May 10th, we are going to be in Daytona Beach. So there you go. Bloodywood is ready to jam. Yep, ready to jam. Steve O, who else is from Passaic? Mitch Alborn. Mitch Alborn from the Detroit Free Press? I didn't know that. Okay. Hell of a writer. He's working now. He's a really good dude. He works like he works like for an orphan, like he supports like an orphanage and kids and all that kind of stuff. And I forgot what country it was. Mitch Albom is a superhuman being, not just a hell of a reporter and writer and all that kind of stuff. Mitch does a lot. Like when we talk about giving back to the world, Mitch and his wife do some big things, man. Things that dwarf anything I've ever done in my life. You know what I'm saying? Major sacrifices. That's a good human being there, Mitch Albom. And talented. Bless that man. Let's see. What else do we have here? We go from the guys on the list. I agree with you. Brady, number 1. And then I like Campanelli, then Shula and Kubiak. Hey, I can definitely see a few more games being played in the old logo next season. We'll see. That's not really what I'm worried about, The old man likes his stupid dead whale. It is what it is. I hate the dead whale. I can't do anything about it. But I just want the team to win, man. That's all I want. I want him to turn the corner. I hope John Eric Sullivan, I hope they lucked out. Look, put it this way. I know John Eric Sullivan's dad. Okay? And if he's as good a GM as Jerry Sullivan is as a wide receivers coach, then we're golden. Let's put it that way. Jerry Sullivan is a hell of a coach, hell of a person too, by the way. Tough dude. His receivers, you weren't going to play under Jerry Sullivan if you weren't tough and disciplined. If you weren't tough and disciplined, you were going to have trouble with Jerry Sullivan. So I know his dad. covered his dad, talked to his dad many, many times on the field, at the Senior Bowl, exceptional person, exceptional coach. Been around him for a few years when he was here. I just hope that apple didn't fall far from that tree. Because if it didn't, the Dolphins hired themselves a really good football guy, and that's all we can hope for right now. We actually need some dumb luck because we know that Stephen Ross, when it comes to football, has no skill. His skill is all in real estate. And you can tell by what he's done. Look what he's done to the property where the stadium's at. It's a hell of a lot more impressive than anything he's ever done with the team. Right? He got that property and made it a gold mine. I mean, the only thing they need to get on that property is drilled oil. That's the only thing they need on that property. They got a hospital. They got a tennis tournament. They got a practice facility. They got an F1 race. They got some of the biggest, that Rolling Loud is one of the 5 biggest rap festivals in the country. So you've got some of the biggest Jazz in the Gardens, enormous. You got Taylor Swift going there for 4 nights. You got, whatever it is, the amount of money that's being produced from that place is ridiculous. He's a genius working that property and maximizing the money out of that property. He's a complete goofball when it comes to running the team. I mean, that is an imbalance like no other. How can you be so exceptional at running the business and everything else about the team and accept the team? The team is the worst aspect of your entire purchase. You paid the $1 billion mostly for the team. It's now worth more than $15 billion, not because of the team. Can you imagine if it was actually a winning team with championships? Not past championships. I'm talking about current championships. Crazy. How can you be so good at one thing and be so bad at the same time in the other way? That is insane. What happened? They lost Rolling Loud? It's going to Orlando. To the Citrus Bowl? Yeah. Yeah, well, they redid that stadium. Okay. Wow, so Rolling Loud, they lost it. Interesting. Yes, I am wearing a coat, Eric. Yeah, I was cold. Yeah, I'm coming off a cold for 50-something days. You know what I mean? And yes. Yeah, it's been like forever. And so the last thing I want, and by the way, I was getting rained on coming in. So it was already kind of raining. And so I put on a jacket also on top of all of that, The last thing, and by the way, I was also told I'm having an operation on Wednesday. So the last thing they told me is do not get a cold. Don't get sick. So I have to make sure that I take care of myself over the next couple of days and not get sick. You know what I mean? I'm already just getting rid of this stinking phlegm, which, by the way, no effects today. Not one time, because I didn't take any Afrin last night again, dude. 3 nights in a row that I did not have to use Afrin. No. I did not have to use Afrin. And I did bring my Afrin. Just in case I had the issue, I was going to bring it. And I brought it. I remembered this time. I'm not going to forget. Frankie says Rolling Loud sucked. Well, but you're listening to it from the vents. Again, volley. You can't do that to me, Frankie. Can't do that to me. You're in the vents. How are you going to hear everything in Rolling Loud? Oh, that's probably true. You know what? Frankie's got a point. Rolling Loud was outside the stadium. I bet you they're doing Rolling Loud in the stadium. Yeah, because you're building out the stages outside and then the fences and all that kind of stuff. And it's a pain in the ass. Whereas if you're just inside the stadium, it's a lot easier to do all of that and kind of corral everybody. So that's probably what it is. They were like, nah, we're not going to let you to the stadium. No, 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 no. You guys might get out of control. Okay. And so we're not going to do that. And that's probably what happened. So who knows? But that's interesting. That is interesting. Big O, are we getting compensatory picks when we lose Weaver? All depends. All depends. You know the stuff that Stephen Ross wears? It all depends. It all depends. Okay, let's say they hire the new coach in 3 days. And then the new coach is going to bring in what? His staff. And he says right away when he gets hired, hey, we've got a staff here in place. Yeah, we're not going to need any of them. Or we're only going to need this guy. And if he doesn't pick Weaver, they cut him. And once they cut him, they lose the opportunity to get the 2 third-rounders. So if you want the 2 third-rounders for Weaver, he has to be hired before he's fired. That's what you have to see. He's done interviews. Is he getting hired yet? And that's what we need to find out. And if he doesn't get hired before we hire a head coach who then decides who he wants from the staff and who he doesn't, that'll be the key, my friend. Okay? So, let's see what else. Oh, real estate is one of the easiest ways to make and maintain your money. It is pretty hard to screw up owning property. Development is tougher. But if you have the land, you have an edge. That is true. That is true. Yep. There's only one thing that does better than real estate. Come on. Anybody want to guess? Guess. What's the one thing that does better than real estate? Come on. Come on. I want to see if somebody comes up with it. I mean, it's pretty. There you go. Right away, baby. Right away. That's right. That's right. No insurance, no upkeep, no nothing. Just sits there and gains value, and that's it. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. No taxes, no nothing. Sits there unless you sell it. That's it. Just like a home, you know what I mean? But every year you are paying taxes on a home. Every year you're paying taxes on a property. You know, every year you're paying insurance. You know, all these kind of things that you spend money on constantly. You don't spend it on Bitcoin. It's the ultimate property in the world, the ultimate digital property, the ultimate tangible property, even though some people think it's intangible. It's actually very tangible. So, very good. Rojas says the Cubanitos of Miami had a great year in college this year with Manny Diaz, Cristobal, and Mendoza, and include the Miami Cubanitos from Columbus, also the Mas brothers. Yes, championship. Yep. Columbus. It's been a good year for Columbus High. Their former students that are owners of the Inter Miami brought a championship. Their former student is the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Their former student is the offensive line coach of the Miami Hurricanes. One of their DBs is a Miami Hurricane. The quarterback for Indiana is a Columbus student. You know, yeah, it's been a pretty damn good year for Columbus. They have alumni that is just making impacts left and right. So it's a pretty cool thing, man. Pretty cool thing. Good for them. Good for them. All right. We appreciate it. We thank all of you for tuning in as always. We thank Brett and all the great people out here, Jeff, Jack, Ken Graff, just everybody out here that makes it happen here at Kaneswear. Don't forget, use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off as always. Remember, if you order online and you get over $99, you'll get free shipping. So make sure you make sure you do that when you go online. We thank, of course, the great Sean Stanley. We thank Manny Navaro. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We're in studio at 10 a.m. Same time, same place, same bat channel.